Okay, back at it here. Physical test, podcast number 2. Going to start out, continue right along with the difference between chemical and physical changes in properties. We'll start first with the physical property. Once again, anytime we talk about physical, it's going to be able to be observed without changing it into a new substance. But on the flip side, chemical property, we're going to have an example of its ability to change to another substance or even substances. It might produce more than one. A physical change is a product still the same substance after the change. We don't get any differences. That goes right along with some of what we can see after these changes. And a chemical change is going to produce one or more substances. So even between properties and changes, you can see some correlation here. Okay, let's move into endothermic and exothermic changes. Endothermic, the heat goes in, and we see N and in and use that as a reminder. Of course, the simplest example of an endothermic reaction change are ice cubes melting. And we have exothermic. That heat is going to be released. It's going to go out. It's going to exit. So we can see the exit and the exo. And of course, anytime something is burning, that's going to be a great example of this. Okay, moving into chapter 4. How the molecules or particles behave in each state of matter. All right, first state of matter we're going to take a look at is the solid. And these can only vibrate in place. A lot of you have done a nice job remembering that in the classroom. Liquid is going to slide around one another, still touch. Liquid's going to have a definite volume, but not a definite shape. Next one, gas. Particles are going to spread apart to fill the container. No matter how large that container is, the more space, obviously, the more room the gas is going to have. It's going to fill your room you're in right now listening to the podcast, or maybe that can of Pringles next to you as you put the lid back on. Gas is not going to have any definite shape or volume. Next up, differences in properties between the three states of matter. Okay, first thing here, liquid properties. There's two of them. We've got surface tension. Best example of all is the bug that's able to walk across the water. That surface tension, the pull between those molecules across the top are what's going to allow it. And then viscosity, and this is a picture that I found on the internet that I thought did a great job. We've got 5 different liquids in these test tubes here, and as you look at them, you can see there's various amounts of liquid falling. Here, this first one's quite a bit. The second one is a little less, but we still get a stream. Just basically have a drop falling here on the third one, and these two have a high enough viscosity that they're not even at a point where they're falling out of those test tubes yet. All right, next one. What happens to individual particles in matter when it undergoes a state change? Well, first of all, melting. Those particles are going to vibrate so fast that they break free. So remember, melting is going to come from a solid to a liquid. So they're already vibrating in place with a solid, but they're going to vibrate fast enough that they're going to break free. Vaporization. Particles in a liquid gain enough energy to move independently. Sublimation. That's when they're going to go from a solid to a gas. So they're flipping right across. Make sure you ignore typo here. Condensation. Particles in a gas lose enough thermal energy to form a liquid. So now condensation, we're going from gas to a liquid. We looked at that. That's what formed on the outside of those cups that we put in that vaporization chamber. Freezing. Particles are moving so slowly that they begin to take on fixed positions. So now we're going from a liquid to a solid. So as you look at these, some of them are opposites. They go from one to the other. Finally, all of these are either absorbing or releasing energy. Energy is the cause for all of these to take place. They're either absorbing it, taking it in, or releasing it out. Okay, this ends podcast number 2. Look on your resource here, Moodle, Edmodo, YouTube, for part 3.